Hey, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachakorash, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa'akwaf, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Another video through the Spirit, your brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Hey, and this one right here, man, a picture is worth 1,000 words, y'all. A picture is worth 1,000 words, as the famous quote says. And then I'm going to have a video playing. I'm gonna get a couple minutes of it's Andrew Tate talking. He was on the PDB podcast recently, and whether or not the guy, whether or not he's set up right. We know his father was literally former CIA, right? He rouses up the minds of the men for the gender war shit. But he's gonna be making some good points in the video because one guy asked him a question, or he put forth the fact that simply, y'all, the world, the results of the world that we see is godliness, right? Things have become so bad because there's no influence of the Heavenly Father in the world. Everybody is influenced and acting after Satan. And this picture right here, pertaining to our people, the Israelites specifically, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The black woman, you were deceived. You was deceived back as Eve in the garden, and you were deceived some decades ago. The so-called white man told you that you were going to have liberty, that you didn't have to listen to your man, that you could be your own boss, boss, girl power, black queen, mama, even if you was a dope fiend, mama, right? You bought into the propaganda. Became a consumer, and it destroyed your household, and it destroyed our people, right? In this picture, right, you see the black man of the household, the family's there. You can tell he just got off from a day of work, but he's holding back the forces of evil from penetrating the minds of the house. What does she say? Why won't you just leave? And when she leaves, what do you see? The household and the family given to chaos and fucking hobgoblin demons. That woman is now a grandmother, and those children are now tatted up little fucking niggers. And y'all, it don't get realer than that. It don't get realer than that, y'all. This is we all got somebody we can point to, and whether this is somebody's grandma or one of the cousins, or your pops was in this situation, y'all. This is something that happened to our people in America. The so-called white man psyoped our women into breaking up the household so that they would be able to easier influence the offspring. And now what do we have? All these decades pass. Generations of children who are abominable in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. They do nothing but evil down here on the face of the earth. Real fucking shit, y'all. Real shit. When you have a household that's out of order, it brings nothing but chaos. The man leads the house. The woman leads the children. When you disrupt that order, you bring death. And that's why we're seeing this society crumble. And now it's prophesied, right? America has to crumble. Nevertheless, that's why we're seeing it. All right, I want to get, I believe it's, what is it, Sirach? Is it Sirach 7? Let me do this. Curse. Let me do this. When you remove the father from being the bastion of hope, right, or the bastion of discipline, I should say, and you completely allow for the spiritual demon Satan to come in and interrupt. And the way that he works is through his people, the so-called white folk, the Edomites. He put money in y'all face. He put cars in your face, internet access, right? Stardom, Hollywood, whoredom, all that. And what did it do? Sirach 3 and 9 is the third chapter. Okay, it says, for the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. And this is for Southern Kingdom heavily. This is what we see in our so-called communities today. When the father is gone, the house is left to chaos with the women of the family, because women are easily influenced to do evil. and they allow the children to grow up undisciplined many and most of the time, least the Holy Spirit preserves you and be upon you, and and recovers you like it did for many of us today in this truth, because many of us came up under this, y'all. Hey, for a hot minute, I grandmama, mama, auntie, and them, and through the Spirit of the Lord, I'm one of the lucky ones. My pops, he came and got me when I was 10, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Life didn't, it wasn't picture perfect after that, obviously, but for many of us, y'all, you wonder why everybody's mentally insane and off drugs in the family and killers, because they didn't have a shot. You didn't stand a motherfucking chance. You was never raised upright. So now let's go to the video. We're gonna let our man's Andrew talk for a hot little minute. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna start here on his actual channel, the PDB podcast, Patrick David podcast. Then I'm gonna switch over to another guy who did a review of his own, Christian Zed, because he's gonna get the exact talking points. We're not gonna play, this is a 3-hour long video. We ain't finna go through all this, but I'm gonna start here because the guy poses a question that sparks this couple of statements that's going to get made right over the course of a couple of minutes. And this is what it is, y'all. Hey, women, y'all don't realize that you've been tools used by your government to destroy your own household and your own life so that you can be more controlled. You still don't get it. It doesn't seem. All right, Salaki, y'all, so I'm gonna let it play.
How do I do this?
You're right. You're right.
We need the how.
But here's the thing, though. Are they okay? Are those guys going to look for those hot girls in Miami who are, to me, not Christian? They're not following the Lord. They're home hookers, because that's what I think OnlyFans is. They're home prostitutes making all that money. They don't need the men. I think, Andrew, and I know we'll get to that package. I want to ask Andrew a question at the end. Is we've lost Christ. We've lost God. All the problems that we've been talking about is how far we've fallen from God. And it's grace. And guess what he's doing? He's letting the Prince of Darkness, which runs this planet, Andrew, have at it. With all the problems with money.
Hey, and obviously we know Christ ain't the name, right? Yahweh Shai. But hey, he's spot on. He's letting the Prince of Darkness is allowed to have free reign in this world. And he's referring to the spiritual demon Satan. And what people does he use to have free reign in this world? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, his people. And they've completely set up a society that is absolutely opposite of the Bible. And now we see the results of that in this world in real fucking time. Broken families, a corrupt money system, sexual perversion, war, never-ending war, chaos, debauchery, lying, theft. We see a world of evil. And, it's deeper than woman, but one of the biggest tools that the so-called white man has used to corrupt the world is women. Because if you can manipulate the women, you can manipulate the men. And if you can manipulate the men, you have the power. Because only the men can rise up and rebel against you.
With all the problems with girls, with all the problems with infertility, all this leads to a godless nation. And that's where we become, and that's where all the problems are rooted.
Out of 10, how much trouble do you want me to get myself in? Because if you say 10, I'll give you the answer. 15.
Hey, he's saying, that's funny, he's stupid.
10.
You want 10?
I don't want you to get in trouble about the truth.
Will you write to me in jail?
I will come.
Right.
So now let me switch over to the other clip. He's stupid. Will you write? So he's about to go on and give an answer. He's not saying nothing special. It began with the prophets, right? Hey, the elders and apostles been saying this literally since the 80s and 90s, right? Elder Apostle Tahar came in the 80s. Everybody started coming in on down, literally, right? He's just a famous, social media figure. And so he's saying it. So, of course, he gets more views when he says it. So now we're going to pick up. Excuse me, y'all.
Actual podcast, the majority of it was a recent viral moment. That's what they spent the majority of the time talking about, right? The conversation had to do with it was an interesting conversation that was had to play on this video. What I was making shares.
Thing. We could talk about godlessness. We could talk about capitalism. We could talk about all these things. I'll tell you.
So this is picking up right where we just left off in the other video.
What the world? Feminism. Yep. And let me explain why. Let me explain why. Because, I sit on podcasts and girls say to me, you say men should cheat, men can't cheat, men need to be loyal, all this crap, blah, blah, blah. There was a time when there was a very simple social contract, and it wasn't too long ago. In the 1950s or the 1960s, you married your high school sweetheart, you had children. The man could pay for the house. His job was to go to the factory and pay for the house. She had a job which was to birth children and take care of the children. It was bad, not only for her to cheat, but he would be ostracized. Even he, as a man, would be looked down on by society for stepping
Which, men are allowed to have multiple women. That's that Babylonianism talk.
out of his marriage.
Right.
That's how society worked. Did men break that contract or did women break that contract? Because it was feminism and women saying, I don't want to listen to my husband. I want to make my own decisions. I don't want to have children young. I want a Birkin bag and I want to go on Andrew Tate's Obsidian Blade yacht. So I don't want kids. So let's get rid of this and let me make my own choices. By doing that, we have now built a society where most women are chasing 1% of men and sharing him. Mm-hmm. And most of those.
So, this is, the common red pill talking points. It's not what we're really here for. He's going to make some specific statements, which is what we're really here for. That's going to tie it back to that photo. Nevertheless, he's making some points, and just let it play.
Men are so scared of the government, they don't want to give most of these women kids. So we have most women wasting their sexuality as playthings, running around the world for rich men being used as toys. Nobody is focused on family anymore. And men in the middle, the average man, can't even get anywhere near a girl. Right. And that has created all of the societal problems that we've discussed since. It is feminism that has destroyed the West, actually. If people were still focused on family, and I would argue that if you were to get 25-year-old men and 25-year-old women in here and say, do you want kids? The men would all go, yes, I'd love a son. It's the women who go, yeah, maybe when I'm older, not now. Women don't want to have kids.
This is so true. And you guys have seen it even here on my channel. And it kind of makes you wonder, because I saw a comment yesterday on one of my videos where a radical feminist seemed like she was saying something that just deleted. Mate had if I said putting her to process.
Kids or having multiple women and all this, blah, 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 blah. If you believe a broke man doesn't deserve, then you believe a rich man deserves all he wants. You made that choice. You said broke men don't deserve me.
Come on.
So
now.
you said only rich men deserve me.
Come on.
Guess
now.
what? There's less rich men than there are females. Welcome to the earth you have built, feminists.
Right.
Welcome to the earth you have built, women. If you're going to sit there and have such unrealistic financial expectations from the man you date, you're going to share him because everyone has those expectations. This is the world that feminism built. Feminism destroyed the West. And every single problem, socialism, the capitalistic issues, the home issues, the birth rate, the crime, all this crap comes from feminism. That's why my war originally was on feminism. Now let's talk about the next stage. Why did that get me in so much trouble?
Before we go on to him talking about how,
So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Fast forward.
right, these are kids this from. The content on relationship with this man would be money. And same logic, right? And
I take care of all the women who have my kids, and they have security teams and Bentleys and mansions, and I'm a provider for absolutely everybody. I'm a very nice man. I like women. Unfortunately, women are a conduit. They are used by other groups of powerful men to destroy the society we live in. Do you know what? Let me tell you.
And that right there is the truth. Women are just women, like Elder Apostle Tahar always said. For the sisters watching this, you already know what the deal is, right? You're coined the weaker vessel for a reason. You simply don't have the spiritual constitution that a man does. It doesn't mean you're, useless. It just means that you have your purpose to serve. Esau, Edom knows this. So what he has done is change that purpose. And in changing that purpose, it has weakened the men, specifically who? Us, our people. Because, we don't give a fuck about if, Edomites are not having children, like how I don't give a fucking damn, because it's good that they're not reproducing. But this also affects our people, y'all, because our women bought into this shit. So now it's affecting us too. And Esau, Edom knew it would do that. Let me go to, let me get that, in which this was a parable that the Lord was laying forth, but it's a universal truth. Damn it. Even still. Bingo. I'll get right at it. Mark 3:27. It says, no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods. except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. And this is what Esau has spiritually done. He's bounded us, y'all, with these laws, with these licenses, right? With these taxes. Can't go here, can't go there. You don't have time to build an empire when you're at work all day. You can't train up your sons to be warriors and prophets, or I'll say warriors and poets, and what did all you ship them off to go get indoctrinated by the enemy, by the same man who enslaves you. An enemy hath done this, like it says in Mark 13, right? Esau, Edom used the women as tools to keep the men down so that they can forward their new world order just long enough to get things going. And so now we're there, y'all. Everything. That's why now they're undoing all of the freedoms and the laws that they gave you people in these societies. They're undoing them because they're getting ready to launch their NWO. They never cared about you women. Hey, what did he said in I wonder if I can bring it up. The interview with Alex Russo that he did with Alex Jones, Aaron Russo, when he talks about how he was talking to Nick Rockefeller, and like, you know, the apostles always bring out now, they like to say he doesn't exist. He said, "Who do you think started women's lib?" He said, "It was us, you idiot." He said, "You think we care about women?" He said, "No." He said, "Now we get to make more money." That's what it was. Never about caring about the rights and the freedoms of you women. And, you know, sisters, that's one of you just got to learn to shut up. You got to learn to shut up for the well-being of the people and for your household, because the man knows best. We're playing the Game of Thrones. This is deeper than you wanting to be able to fucking run around the city. We're dealing with life and death. The Game of Thrones, god damn it.
The society we live in. Do you know what? Let me tell you something. I have this theory. It's the high-low theory. I think we've all heard it before. Who didn't get the vaccine? Billionaires knew better, and homeless people knew better. You get in the middle. Who doesn't pay taxes? Billionaires don't pay taxes. Homeless people don't pay taxes. You get in the middle. If you're really rich, it's true. It's true. Right? If you're at the extremes, you understand things that the people in the middle don't. And I never grew up. I'm not a hedge fund. My dad wasn't rich. I didn't have a silver spoon. Unfortunately, I grew up.
And there's some truth to that, y'all. Hey, we're at the bottom. We're at the lower end of the extreme. So we're able to see the world for what it is, because we don't get to enjoy the luxuries of this life that'll blind you. And then on the flip of that, you have the elites at the top of the extreme, and they know what the world is because they're making it like this. So it's actually good, y'all. It's, you know, this hell that we go through, it sucks, but it's good because it lets us see reality. We know what the dealio is. These people don't.
At the absolute bottom. And I got a version of the world as this mafia, gangland, everybody out to get each other. And then I got to the top and I was like, oh shit, it's exactly the same. And you know what you do at the bottom if you're trying to get a guy? You watch his girl's Instagram story, because she can't help but post the restaurant. She has to show off. That's where he is. Do you know what you do at the bottom if you want to get a guy? You kidnap his girlfriend. You follow her. The guy, he's smart. He's hard to follow. His head's on a swivel. But his chick, she's wandering around. She's on her phone, through her lipstick.
Oh my
That's
God.
how you find him. When the police want to find a criminal and he's hiding, they call all his chicks. This is standard operating procedure.
Right.
It's the same at the top. How did they get me? How will they get any of you in here? They use women as a conduit to damage people.
Right.
Women are not evil. I'm not insulting women. I'm saying that the men at the top are using women as a weapon against other men. They're doing it on purpose. And they're doing it by even destroying the fabric of society. Benefits to socialists. This benefits them. That's why they're making women undateable. That's why they're pushing feminism. That's why they're destroying family. That's why they're completely they're growing the gap between men and women in society, because they know that families are actually their enemy. Read a socialist playbook. Read Democrats. All they are is anti-family. That is their number one primary
He's going in, y'all. That's why I'm letting him speak. He's going in.
weapon. So how do you do that? You convince women that having kids is wrong, or having kids is somehow slavery or servitude in some way that's embarrassing to do. You make motherhood instead of being the highest virtue of a woman like it should be, you do the absolute opposite. This feminism thing, this whole feminism crap, the saddest thing about it is it's not even driven by women. It's driven by evil men behind the feminism
Yep.
who are using it to attack other men. Just like at the bottom, you use women to attack other men. It's exactly the same at the top. And it is feminism that has destroyed the West. And when you go against feminism, like I did, you get in a lot of trouble. If I told you go against the vaccine, you go against big pharma, you catch a case, you'd believe me. If I say you go against big women, you catch a case, you'd be like, what? You do. You actually do. Because the people who are behind.
I had to take a moment there and think big women.
So, he's spitting, fuck you. Hey, a broken clock can be right 2 times a day. And that's what we're seeing here. So yes, the elite uses women as tools to us the men. And he's going to make some more statements in a minute. I'm going to let him speak a little bit more, but I'm going to get some scriptures. Y'all, and this is why, going back to the garden, the serpent, which was a wicked man, went to who first? Eve. And then Eve did what? Brought it to her husband. It's the same play all over again. And we're seeing it in the modern era. And it's working. All right, Genesis 3. I'm going to start at 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, hath the power said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So bingo, who did he go to? With his cunning and with his deception, he went to the woman. Why? Because she would be easier to deceive, and he could use that to his advantage. Once she was deceived, so we're just going to jump down now, right? We understand that this is not a literal trees where they were eating fruit. This is representing wisdom, right? The wisdom and the knowledge that in these bodies, we'll regain access to the tree of knowledge and to the tree of good and evil when we have the new bodies, right? Perfection of the law, making us immortal, right? And knowing good and evil, making us gods, right? Having authority over the things of the universe. We weren't supposed to tap into that yet. Here is in Eve and Adam's time, or excuse me, and in Adam and Eve's time. Now look at us. Now look how far we've fallen. So I'm going to jump down to verse 6. It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, so she dived into the understanding of the philosophies that she wasn't supposed to, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Bingo. And most men, even the most hardcore niggas, right? You got, there's a woman that they got a soft spot for. That's how women are designed. That's the relationship, the dynamic that we have with them. Better men than you have fallen to women. Look at Solomon, right? That's why when you jump here, let's go to Timothy now. The serpent went to Eve for a reason, y'all. If he'd went to Adam first, he might have got his fucking neck broken, right? Adam might have said, bitch ass nigga say what? And fired on him, god damn it. 1 Timothy 2. And I'm going to start at 12. It says, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So she was deceived first and brought it to Adam. And now look at the world now, y'all. Look at the world now. Esau, Edom, has allowed them to run amok because it keeps us occupied and fucked off. And it allows him to reign in wickedness unchecked. This is where we're at with it. Let me get also Jeremiah 31 and 22. How long wilt thou go back, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. This is a new thing, y'all. It's not, ladies, I'm gonna be a dead ass 100 with you. You are not fit to rule in the same capacity as a man, nor should you try. You will break down your mind and your body. It's simply not for you. The same way that human beings currently, we cannot oxidize underwater. What meaning? What we could when you put your head in the water, you cannot breathe the same way that a fish can. Fish's lungs extract oxygen out of water and are capable of breathing. We do that process above land in the air. We can't breathe underwater, and they can't breathe in the air. Lungs can't oxidize in air. They can only do it in the water. Our lungs can't, gills. The fishes have gills, which is essentially the same thing. Ladies, y'all have been tricked. Y'all have been tricked. And now everyone's suffering for it. Let's go back.
You do. You actually do. Because the people who are behind.
I had to take a moment there and think big women is a term.
If you come home and you're a problem for them, because feminism is their primary weapon, let's discuss why. And I'll ask you a question. This is a thought experiment for everybody here. If you're the king of your castle, would you defend it? If you come home and your wife prepares you a meal and your kids obey you and they love you and they're not psyoped by YouTube and the school system, and when you talk, they respect you as the man, and you all sit around the table and you're the head of the table, and someone comes into your town near your house, your family, you're the king in that household, you're going to defend it. But when you come home and your wife's nagging,
and this is, the parable I just brought out in that Mark, right? Esau, Edom, he doesn't have to physically run into the house and bind you. He's found out a way to bind the men of the world emotionally, right? And in their minds. You so busy, you didn't fault the world at work, and now you got to come home and deal with that banshee. Man, you ain't trying to rebel against no government. Man, you'll pay them punk ass taxes. You'll go get you a license, right? You'll eat GMO foods. You don't got energy for nothing else to do in a day, and that's where we're at with it. And Esau, Edom knew this.
you don't, and your kids don't listen because they're busy watching YouTube and they've gone to school and learned some crap you don't even like. And every time you have any concerns or raise your voice, your wife's just in your ear nagging at you, pecking away at you, blah, 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 blah. She deserves more. I saw on TikTok this girl had a Lambo. Why don't I have these things? Blah, blah, blah. Are you now preparing do you feel ready for war as a man? You've given up, bro.
Right.
You're like, fuck it. Take society, take the road, take the street, take the town, take the fucking country, whatever. Leave me alone. Do you know what pushed COVID? Feminism. Feminism. This is why I'm going to jail. Feminism pushed COVID. A man came home. There's COVID and it's really dangerous. Don't care. Oh yeah, but grandma and the kids, and you should just put a mask on. The wife, the women. Oh, I'm scared. Because women, as much as I love women, I'm not a misogynist. My judge in Romania is a woman.
So a lot of you guys call yourself an alpha wolf, which is not realistic for human males.
How convenient. Woo! No, as much as I love women, their superpower is emotionality, which means you can beat them with emotional arguments. Yeah. Let's analyze COVID. How did they get you COVID? Grandma. Now, when they said grandma to me, I said, grandma's 93, and 93-year-olds die. So it's unfortunate, but grandma's old, and I'm young, and I have things to do. It's very unfortunate.
So I'll cut that right there because I want to go get a hold of that Aaron Russo thing now too. But bingo, y'all. So the answer to that is no. When you come home, you already defeated, man. You ain't trying to man rebel. And this is how so taking it all the way back now, taking it all the way back to here. Esau, Edom came to Eve in the 60s and 70s, right? Hot off the civil rights era and divulged into the sexual liberation era, right? You get the famous picture also of what? Right here, this famous picture. They got you. And Gloria Steinem is a self-admitted former CIA informant and operative, where she openly admits that she was hired to push these ideals on women, and she don't even agree with them anymore, right? I've done videos on them. Elders, Apostles, Brothers have done videos on her, right? She admits, yes, she was paid money. She was hired to push forth, right? One of the companies she dealt with was the Cosmopolitan magazine, right? And now look at the world. And so the sisters fell for it. And you falling for it, Satan came in and destroyed our family. So that's YNs in the streets shooting each other, niggas selling drugs, right? And niggas all locked up. This is the results of it. So, hey, we both have a part to play in this horrible state of our people. You had that one video That chick said, if it was left up to black men, we would never get out of it. Y'all did damage too, sisters. We're both as guilty for our current condition. We did bad and y'all did bad. And this is real bad. So let me see if I can get this last clip. Okay, right here. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to find. And something I was, I'm sitting in here. I just typed in the interview, right? This full interview. Oh, wow. See, yep, a brother re-uploaded. Yep, GMS, Good Soldier Bob. Right. This full interview used to be up on YouTube. Now they've taken it. So, you'll find it in parts and pieces. And this was a real guy. They should tell you this guy didn't exist. That was a real guy that he was posted up with. He was about to introduce him to the system, but Aaron had a bit of a conscience and decided to spill the beans on the situation. And Nick Rockefeller, he probably got chastised for that. That's why, when you try to look him up, you'd be hard pressed to find him, right? But they wanted to take in Aaron, right? They saw his producing skills, and they were going to use him to help brainwash the masses. But he happened to have a little bit of a conscience, all right? So let's let this play. This is, backing up further some of the things that Andrew had said.
He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded Women's Lib, and we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why?
And you want go look, who funded Margaret Sanger? Margaret Sanger, the mother of Plan P. John D. Rockefeller. So this ain't y'all. You can't. We can get a nigga, bitch ass nigga. We can get on Wikipedia right now and prove it as a statement. And this is just one branch of the elite families, right? Which are all Edomites. They funded the separation and breaking up of the family. It's without a doubt.
So there were two primary reasons. And one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before Women's Lib. And the second reason was now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them.
Did you know that Gloria Steinem, in one of her own books, now admits the CIA funded Miss Magazine?
No.
Wow, I forgot. Yeah, so he mentions it right there. Yeah, I'm telling you, you can look her up on Google, y'all, on Wiki, and read about her.
I had no idea about that. No, I never heard that.
Well, exactly when did your own association with the CIA start, and in what fashion? Did they come to you, or did you go to them?
In 1958, when I came home from India, I discussed with student leaders, past and present, many of them active with the National Student Association, this kind of small foundation to encourage Americans to go. They thought it was a good idea, too.
To say it was easier for you to work for the CIA than a private organization.
That's right. And the reason I think that comes as a surprise, as it did to me at the time. I mean, I had the conventional liberals' view of the CIA as a right-wing incendiary group. And I was amazed to discover that this was far from the case, that they were enlightened, liberal, nonpartisan activists of the sort who...
And we've been through ever since, y'all. We've been through ever since. So, for the sisters that do watch, you have to sit down and be quiet and understand that we ain't just waking up wanting to slap you in your head and tell you what to do. If the so-called white man is able to manipulate you, then he can get at us. You are the tool that he uses to weaken us. And Israelite men in particular, what is their weakness? Women. Read the scriptures. What brought down the sons of God? The women of the world, right? Chasing behind that coochie. Niggas can't help themselves. They can't control themselves. So, knowing this, you have to be in order for the sake of order. God damn it. And ultimately, Yahweh Shai is going to come fix all this fucking mess and put everything back in order. And we'll have the power. It ain't going to be an issue. But yeah, evil men, empowered women. so that they could, rule the world. It's quite that simple. They don't care about you. Yeah. Or just, don't take advice and die. Hey, so, that's it, man. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakorash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa'akwa, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.